Arrival and First Contact. The USS Liberty drifted into the outer orbit of the Intergalactic Council's capital station like a lone shark approaching a coral reef. From a distance, the structure seemed impossibly immense, a lattice of crystalline spires, floating gardens, and rotating habitation rings reflecting the dying star it orbited. Every surface shimmered with alien technology, flowing with lights and colors that defied human optics. Commander Celine Hart stood on the bridge, hands clasped behind her back, her sharp gaze scanning every detail. "Status report," she demanded, her voice calm but carrying the authority of a veteran officer. Lieutenant Marcus Lynn, seated at the tactical console, swiveled his chair. "All systems nominal. Council sensors have detected us, but no hostile activity yet. Communications open, though only for formal acknowledgement." Celine nodded. "Good. Keep shields at 40%. Let them know we come unarmed, but not naive." Her tone carried the weight of someone who had faced impossible odds before. The communication panel flickered, and a holographic figure materialized, tall, elongated, skin shifting in iridescent hues. The figure's four limbs ended in clawed extremities that moved with deliberate elegance. It was Varkon Thrall, Supreme Counselor of the Xylar Dominion, and he radiated authority like the sun radiates heat. "Humans!" Varkon's voice resonated in the cabin, a mixture of vibration and thought transference. "You approach a hall you do not yet understand. Your species is young, inexperienced, and reckless. You risk disgrace by stepping so far beyond your capabilities." Celine studied the projection without flinching. Her mind raced, calculating tone, posture, and potential deception. "I am Commander Celine Hart of Earth," she replied evenly. "We understand your concern, Counselor Thrall. We are not here to impress, but to establish presence. Earth does not negotiate submission." A ripple of muted shock spread through the Council's sensors. In centuries of diplomatic protocol, no species had addressed a Supreme Counselor with such direct defiance. "Bold words," Varkon said, though there was a flicker of something Celine could not place, curiosity, perhaps, or irritation. "You will enter the council chamber under observation. You will follow the rules, or your actions will be noted unfavorably." Celine's lips pressed into a thin line. "We follow the law of space and the code of honesty. Anything else is not negotiation, it is coercion. We do not negotiate coercion." Marcus exhaled audibly beside her, whispering, "She's really doing it." Celine ignored him. "Plot our approach. We dock at the secondary hub. Minimal fanfare. Keep sensors active. The moment we see a violation, we act defensively, but we do not provoke." The Liberty slid through docking bays designed for species twice its size, the hum of alien engines vibrating through the hull. Crew members, human and hybrid, watched in awe at the towering pillars of translucent metal and flowing energy fields. Every surface displayed alien symbols that pulsed rhythmically, as though the station itself were alive. In the council reception chamber, Celine stepped from the airlock, the magnetic field of her suit adjusting to the station's environmental norms. The chamber was vast beyond comprehension, circular, with concentric levels of seats rising like an amphitheater. Light reflected from the ceiling crystal into every corner, casting prismatic shadows across the floor. Hundreds of alien delegates, representing dozens of species, turned their multifaceted eyes toward her. Their expressions were unreadable, but their curiosity was palpable. Varkon Thrall descended onto the central dais, his movements deliberate, commanding attention without effort. "Commander Hart," he began, his voice echoing, "your species claims autonomy, yet your history is short, your influence limited. Why should we not consider you a child wandering into matters beyond comprehension?" Celine's gaze met his without hesitation. "Because children obey when threatened. Humanity observes, calculates, and responds. We do not obey threats. And make no mistake, Counselor, any attempt to coerce us will be met with consequences you are unprepared for." A murmur traveled through the chamber. Celine could feel the tension, the alien senses straining to interpret her audacity. She held the moment. Her posture radiated confidence without arrogance, Her eyes projected calm calculation. One of the smaller counselors, a slender being with translucent skin and eyes like liquid silver, leaned forward. "And if the council insists?" it asked, curiosity overtaking protocol. Celine turned toward it. "Then we respond in kind. Not with malice, but with certainty. Humanity has survived countless challenges on Earth. We are not fragile. We are adaptable. We are precise." Varkan's claws tapped the crystal podium. "Precision is meaningless without experience. You are entering a web spun by eons. You will be entangled before you know it." Celine's response was quiet, measured. "Then perhaps it is time someone untangled it. Humans do not fear webs. We navigate them. And we cut threads when necessary." For a moment, silence blanketed the chamber. Every species sensed the potential for a disruption unlike anything before. The younger counselors whispered to each other, while older ones observed, intrigued despite themselves. "Enough," Varkan finally said, though there was tension in his tone that had not been present before. "You will be assigned a liaison. You will learn the rules, or you will face isolation." Celine inclined her head once. "We will learn the rules. But make no mistake, we will not submit to them blindly." The human envoy was escorted to a designated observation suite, high above the main floor, where sensors recorded every movement. Celine allowed herself a brief breath. She turned to Marcus, who was beside her, pale but exhilarated. "This is only the first step," she said. "They underestimate us, and that is their first mistake. Humanity has never been stronger when underestimated." Outside, the council chambers buzzed with alien deliberation. Whispers of disbelief, curiosity, and grudging respect circulated. Celine's presence had already shifted the equilibrium. The council had expected timid, negotiable humans. Instead, they had received a commander unflinching, precise, and prepared to stand firm. As the airlock sealed behind her, Celine looked out over the city of stars that stretched beyond the station's observation windows. Every spire, every light, every alien gaze would be watching. And she welcomed it. Humanity had arrived in the galaxy not as a supplicant, but as a force to be reckoned with. Her first contact had ended without violence, but the message had been clear. Humans did not bow. Humans did not negotiate under threat. And most importantly, the galaxy had just glimpsed the beginning of something it could neither predict nor control. Political maneuvers and subterfuge. Celine Hart's first night aboard the council station offered no rest. The observation suite hummed with alien energy, subtle vibrations through the walls she could feel even through reinforced boots. Human eyes strained at the alien luminescence, but her mind remained sharp. She studied schematics of the council's voting systems, communications networks, and surveillance arrays displayed on her portable console. Every counselor had a pattern, every faction had a weakness. Humanity didn't just survive by brute strength, it survived by reading between lines others didn't even see. Marcus Lin, leaning over a holodisplay, broke the silence. "Commander, the Xylar Dominion is pushing for a preliminary vote to limit Earth's voting rights. They're trying to isolate us politically before we've even sat at the table." Celine didn't flinch. "Expected. They assume we'll panic. We won't. Prepare a list of potential allies among the smaller factions. Quiet diplomacy first. Brute force is a last resort, and they must not see it coming." Hours later, she moved through the station's labyrinthine corridors. Alien patrols scanned her, but she kept her composure. Every movement, every word, was a calculation. She reached the chambers where smaller counselors convened in private discussion. Holographic light shimmered as she projected herself onto the central dais, a display of authority without intimidation. "I know what you think of humans," she began, voice steady. "Weak, inexperienced, naive. I won't deny we are new. But inexperience is not ignorance. Naivety is not incompetence. We do not bow to threats, and we do not gamble recklessly. We calculate. We adapt. And when necessary, we act decisively." A murmured ripple spread through the delegates. One, a slender, transparent skin being named Elora, tilted its head, eyes catching the light like mercury. "And what exactly do you propose, human, that we believe your words over the authority of the Supreme Council?" Celine's answer was precise. "That your votes count, and your species' survival counts. Align with us not out of fear, but out of principle. We can demonstrate strength without confrontation, strategy without coercion. And in doing so, we all gain stability." She saw hesitation in their expressions. Alien politics, even when shrouded in ritual and ceremony, was driven by instinct as much as reason. Humanity had a chance. Back in her observation suite, Celine and Marcus worked through intercepted council communications. Hidden among ceremonial debates were coded messages revealing alliances, threats, and veiled bribery attempts. One faction, the Trevani, had grown resentful of Xyler dominance. Celine's eyes narrowed. A subtle approach, whispered to the right ears, and the Trevani could tip the scales. "Send the encrypted message," she ordered. "Tell them we value their independence and judgment. Offer insight, not promises." Marcus hesitated. "Commander, if this is discovered..." Celine cut him off. "Then they'll see humans as clever, not reckless. And cleverness is harder to dismiss than naivety." Hours passed. The council convened for the first formal vote. Celine's team had positioned surveillance in a way that mirrored human observation protocols, undetectable to alien senses. The chamber buzzed with energy, alien voices rising and falling in incomprehensible patterns. Varkantral presided over the dais, his presence commanding, but even he sensed unease among his delegates. "Commander Hart," Varkant said, his tone edged with restrained irritation, "you continue to intrude upon matters beyond your understanding. Do you wish to speak before this vote?" Celine rose, standing tall, her silhouette framed by the holographic light behind her. "I wish to speak not for submission or concession," she said clearly, "but for clarity. The Council risks isolation by pushing humanity aside. We do not seek to disrupt. We seek to contribute. We seek mutual survival and order." The chamber's response was immediate: chatter, gestures, flashes of telepathic signals. Celine held her ground, ignoring the murmur, her eyes locking briefly on Varkan. His claws tapped faster against the podium, a subtle signal of agitation she noted for later. As the vote proceeded, subtle anomalies emerged. A faction intended to vote against humanity, but a few delegates switched mid-decision, influenced quietly by Celine's messages. She monitored every pulse of energy, every hesitation. By the time the vote concluded, the results were ambiguous, not outright favorable, but not disastrous. Humanity retained provisional participation rights, enough to survive another round. Varkan's projection turned to her, expression unreadable. "Your species surprises. Perhaps you have more cunning than I expected. But the Council's patience is not infinite. Overstep again, and there will be consequences." Celine nodded. "We understand, Counselor. And neither we nor Earth will overstep. We will act deliberately, not recklessly. But we will act." Back in the observation suite, Celine debriefed her team. "We need contingencies. They will try again. Always. Every vote, every motion, they'll test humanity at every step. That's how they maintain control. But every system has a flaw, and we find it. Every alliance has a crack, and we exploit it." Marcus frowned. "Commander, it feels risky. Almost reckless." Celine's gaze was firm. "Risk is calculated, Marcus. Recklessness is ignoring intelligence. We are never reckless. We are prepared. That is the difference." Later, she reviewed the station's defense systems. Drones, energy shields, and orbital arrays, all designed to protect the Council. A single misalignment, a minor oversight in the rotation cycles, could give humanity the upper hand in demonstration or defense. She didn't intend to use it now, but knowing the advantage existed gave her leverage. "Commander," Marcus whispered, almost reluctantly impressed, "you're already planning for the Council to act against us before it even happens." Celine allowed herself the faintest smile. That's exactly what I'm doing. In this galaxy, hesitation is fatal. We survive because we anticipate, because we prepare, because we do not assume anyone else's wisdom surpasses our own. Outside the observation suite, council members deliberated late into the alien night. Arguments echoed, alliances shifted, and for the first time, a few delegates began to question Varkan's absolute authority. Humanity had entered the arena not as a silent observer, but as a player whose presence could no longer be ignored. Celine Hart gazed at the stars through the reinforced window, her reflection superimposed against the alien cityscape. A faint hum of energy, the heartbeat of the station, resonated in her chest. The game had begun, subtle, dangerous, and unlike anything humans had faced before. And she welcomed it. Humanity had survived countless crises on Earth, from pandemics to global conflicts. The galaxy was no different, only larger, older, and more intricate. But humans adapted. Humans persisted. And humans, Celine reminded herself, never surrendered without a fight. The USS Liberty waited in orbit, silent and watchful. Inside the station, Celine prepared for the next round: political subterfuge, strategic alliances, and calculated displays of strength. The Council thought they could intimidate a young species. They had only lit a spark. And sparks, once ignited, could not be contained. The standoff. The chamber's air thrummed with anticipation, though it was unlike any air a human could feel. The Council's great hall pulsed with energy, an invisible current of political tension, telepathic interference, and centuries of ingrained authority. Commander Celine Hart stepped onto the central platform, flanked by her small human contingent. Every eye, every sensing organ, and every alien thought skin focused on them. For the first time, the Council would see humanity not as observers, not as novices, but as actors capable of altering the balance. Varkan Thrall, seated at the apex of the dais, radiated imperious control. His claws tapped rhythmically on the crystalline podium, a signal the Council read as the final warning. "Commander Hart," he said, voice resonating with restrained menace, "you have tested the patience of this body. Your species is audacious, but audacity alone does not grant survival. Are you prepared for the consequences of defiance?" Celine's gaze never wavered. "Counselor Thrall," she replied evenly, "humanity calculates consequences before it acts. And we accept them only when they are just. We do not fear your warnings. We anticipate them." A ripple of energy passed through the assembly. The smaller factions whispered, and even the senior counselors who had long dismissed humanity paused. Something had shifted. Celine had disrupted the rhythm they relied upon. The Supreme Counselor leaned forward, his voice cold and precise. "The vote to strip Earth of provisional rights proceeds. You may speak once, human. Do not waste the opportunity." Celine inhaled slowly, letting the chamber absorb her presence. Then she projected her voice with precision, each word chosen to pierce the ornate walls of bureaucracy. "Counselors, hear this. Humanity is not a species to be marginalized, dismissed, or underestimated. We have survived catastrophes that would have annihilated older civilizations. We have adapted to environments that would have crushed your species. And here, today, we stand not to beg for recognition but to demand it, through clarity, through reason, and through action if necessary." Varkan's projection shifted slightly. His amber eyes, sharp as molten metal, narrowed. "Bold rhetoric. But rhetoric cannot override history. The Council rules by consensus, by precedents, by experience. You are young, untested. You will fail." Celine's lips curved in a faint, controlled smile. "Then let the test begin." The room shifted. Councilors began casting their votes. Celine's team monitored patterns, detecting subtle hesitations, telepathic nudges, and the silent sway of undecided delegates. She had prepared a contingency: orbital drones hidden among the station's defense arrays. Not to strike, but to demonstrate capability. Humanity's technology was efficient, precise, and adaptable. A single display could remind even the oldest counselors that humans were not helpless. Varkan's claws stopped tapping. "Commander Hart," he said, voice low and dangerous. "Do you intend to threaten the Council with your primitive constructs?" Celine raised her hand slightly, revealing nothing, projecting calm confidence. "Not threaten. Demonstrate. The difference is crucial. We exist here to ensure stability, not destruction. But make no mistake, stability comes at a cost if ignored. We will act to protect our own, and in doing so, we protect the balance of this chamber." A murmur ran through the delegates. Some species, historically marginalized by the Xylar Dominion, leaned forward. Others exchanged glances, recognizing the subtle display of human strategic brilliance. Varkan's fingers flexed nervously, an uncharacteristic break in his composed demeanor. "Commander Hart," he snapped. "Enough! Step aside, or we proceed without you." Celine's voice was calm, resolute. "I will not step aside. Humanity has earned the right to speak. We are here. We exist. We do not negotiate fear." The final votes were cast. The chamber waited, silent, tensely. The outcome was ambiguous. Humanity had retained provisional participation, but by the narrowest margin. Celine could sense the unease radiating from the council. They had underestimated the resolve, calculation, and subtle influence a single human envoy could wield. Elora, the transparent-skinned counselor from the Trevani faction, floated forward. "Commander Hart," it said, voice soft yet carrying authority. "Your species has shown insight and precision. You speak truth where others obfuscate. The Trevani support your presence." Celine inclined her head. "Your support is noted, and we honor it. Humanity seeks cooperation where possible, and recognition where earned. That is our offer to this chamber." Varkan Thrall's projection flickered with irritation. "Do not think a single faction's dissent alters the law of this council. You have provoked the Xylar Dominion. Be prepared for further tests." Celine stepped down from the platform, keeping her composure. "We will meet any test with preparation and clarity, Counselor. But we will not bend to intimidation. Not now. Not ever." Outside the chamber, Celine debriefed her team. "Observe patterns," she instructed. "Every hesitation, every flicker of doubt, every subtle alliance shift is a tool. This chamber is no longer just a place for votes, it's a battlefield of perception and influence. We play by the rules, but we play to win." Marcus Lynn frowned. "Commander, they could respond with force next. Do we have the capacity?" Celine's eyes glinted with resolve. "We have more than capacity. We have preparation, adaptability, and precision. That is humanity's advantage. The Council may wield centuries of history, but humans wield the unknown. And the unknown cannot be dismissed." The chamber emptied for the night. Celine remained, observing the alien cityscape from the observation window. Light refracted through crystalline spires, casting prismatic shadows across the alien streets and corridors. The galaxy was vast, ancient, and intricate. But for the first time, humans were no longer spectators, they were players. She reflected briefly on Earth, the home she fought to protect. Humanity had survived famine, disease, and conflict. The galaxy was simply the next challenge. And humanity, Celine reminded herself, never surrendered without proof that defeat was inevitable. A soft ping alerted her to an incoming message, encrypted, subtle, routed through the Trevani channels. A simple line, almost a whisper. "You are not alone." Celine allowed herself a small, controlled smile. She now had allies, leverage, and the Council's attention. The standoff was not yet won, but humanity had made its mark. And that mark was unmistakable, bold, precise, and unyielding. Outside, stars shimmered like 1,000 eyes watching, waiting. Inside, Celine Hart prepared for the inevitable escalation. Humanity had entered a game of stakes far greater than anything on Earth. But she was ready. Humanity was ready. The Council might have expected submission. They had received defiance. They might have predicted hesitation. They had witnessed clarity. And the galaxy would never underestimate humans again. Resolution and aftermath. The council chamber was alive with tension that no hologram or energy field could contain. Every seat, every dais, every alien gaze was fixed on the humans. Commander Celine Hart entered the room with the measured calm of someone who knew the stakes but refused to bend to intimidation. The USS Liberty hovered silently in orbit above, a quiet reminder that humanity had both presence and precision. Varkon Thrall's projection radiated controlled fury. "Commander Hart," he said, voice clipped, "you have pushed this body to its limits. One more act of defiance, and Earth's place in this chamber will be forfeit permanently. Do you understand?" Celine's reply was calm, deliberate. "I understand. And I also understand that the Council's authority does not extend to coercion masked as law. Humanity is present because we choose to be, not because you allow it. Make no mistake, Counselor, we will act if pushed, and when we act, it will be with clarity and precision." A murmur of whispers ran through the delegates. Even the older, more cautious counselors had to recognize the calculated force behind Celine's words. For the first time, they sensed the weight of human resolve. Varkin's amber eyes narrowed. "Then speak. This will be your final opportunity to sway the vote for provisional human inclusion. Speak, and make it compelling, or step aside." Celine stepped onto the platform. "Counselors," she began, her voice carrying through the chamber, "you are about to make a decision that will define this body for generations. You may remove humanity, thinking we are insignificant, young, or naive. You may attempt to silence us, underestimate us, and deny us influence. But consider this: humans do not cower. We survive because we adapt, because we calculate, because we endure where others falter. Dismissing us does not end our presence, it merely ensures you will face us unprepared when we act. And when we act, it will not be recklessness. It will be precision. And precision is far more dangerous than chaos." A wave of quiet acknowledgement passed among the smaller factions. The Trevani representatives exchanged glances with each other and subtly shifted in support. Others hesitated, weighing centuries of precedent against the audacity of a single human envoy. Varkon hissed, a low vibration of anger. "Empty words. History will judge, and you will find the Council merciless." Celine's gaze did not falter. "History already judges those who underestimate humanity. We do not act to threaten, but to survive and contribute. To dismiss us is to gamble with the future. That is the choice before you." The votes began. Energy pulses flickered, holographic displays spun, and Celine's team monitored each decision silently, noting hesitation, shifting alliances, and subtle signals of doubt. The chamber's rhythm felt like a heartbeat. With each vote cast, the balance tilted imperceptibly toward humanity. Varkin's fingers flexed nervously. A subtle twitch, but enough for Celine to note it. He had never faced an opponent who could match both strategy and principle. And now, the chamber itself seemed to sense the shift. Finally, the results were revealed. Humanity retained full provisional membership, with several factions pledging ongoing support. The room held its breath as silence stretched. Celine allowed herself a measured nod, acknowledging the victory without triumphalism. "Commander Hart," Varkon growled, "this is temporary. Humanity may survive this vote, but our scrutiny will be relentless. Your species may find itself isolated again." Celine's reply was soft but unwavering. "We expect scrutiny. We welcome it. Scrutiny strengthens understanding, exposes weakness, and sharpens strategy. We do not fear it, Counselor. Humanity has always turned pressure into opportunity." Outside the chamber, the human team exhaled, tension draining from bodies and minds alike. Marcus Lynn's grin was subtle but unmistakable. "You actually did it, Commander. We survived, and they respect us for it." Celine allowed herself a faint smile. "Respect earned, not given. That is the difference. And respect in this chamber is far more valuable than compliance." Hours later, in the observation suite, Celine reviewed the Council's security protocols, alliances, and voting patterns. Even as humans had won, the galaxy remained dangerous and unpredictable. Yet for the first time, humanity had a foothold, a voice, and the beginnings of influence. She tapped a line of encrypted communication to the Trevani. The first test is complete. Stay ready. Marcus frowned. Do you think they'll retaliate? Celine shook her head. Retaliation is expected. But humans are ready for it. We've survived worse. The galaxy is vast, but we are precise. They cannot predict everything we will do. The USS Liberty remained in orbit, silent and imposing, while the Council's chambers buzzed with debate, speculation, and intrigue. Some factions began reconsidering their positions. Others watched humanity with new caution, realizing that audacity combined with intelligence was a force that could no longer be ignored. Celine turned to the window, observing the alien cityscape sprawling across the orbiting station. The spires shimmered, the energy pulses flowed, and the stars beyond seemed indifferent. Yet humanity's presence now mattered. It was no longer an experiment, no longer a curiosity. Humanity was here to participate, and to endure. Alora's message blinked on the console. You have changed the balance. The Council will adapt, but so will we. Celine's expression was resolute. Good. Let them adapt. Humans never wait for permission, nor do we yield to intimidation. Let the galaxy watch and learn. She allowed herself a moment to reflect. The standoff was over, but the game was only beginning. Humanity had proven its mettle, defended its sovereignty, and earned grudging respect. But tomorrow would bring new challenges: political intrigue, potential sabotage, and testing of the humans' patience and resolve. Yet Celine Hart knew this truth: the galaxy had underestimated humans once, and it would never do so again. Not while she stood. Not while humanity remained vigilant, precise, and unyielding. Her final thought as she looked toward the stars was simple and unwavering. They may have power, history, and age, but humanity has something far more formidable. We have will. And will cannot be extinguished. The USS Liberty waited in orbit, ready, patient, and silent, a symbol of humanity's emergence into a galaxy that had long assumed it could dictate the rules. The Council might have expected submission. They had received clarity, resolve, and defiance. And humanity's mark on the galaxy was now indelible.